Okay, we are on, we are live and recording. Awesome. So first of all, just want to throw out the whole DLA team. There's a lot of members here on the call. Turn your camera on and raise your hand if you are a DLA team member. There's a lot on here. Pamela, Lee, Janine, Shannon, Karen, Anthony, Katrina. I know Carla, Cynthia. All right, so I think I got everybody. So we have a lot of members. Okay, there we go. People are virtually raising their hands. Good call. So a lot of work's been going into this. I just want to say, even though we only have a few departments participating this year, this is really, groundbreaking work. This is really going to have an amazing impact. People are going to really get a lot out of this. And, I can feel it happen. And those people went through it. We all got a taste of it before, but this is going to be great stuff. So here we go. Orientation session number 2. We are going to allow people to go in live tomorrow into Peoplesoft. So we want to get you set up for that. So just quick overview for anybody tuning in. When we talk about our talent optimized program, this is part of the mission of DLA, which is to unlock and support all of our district administrators, specialists and above, to develop their talents and give them that opportunity to do that really on an individual basis. And so what we are rolling out here, our talent optimized program, is a non-evaluative talent development system that includes these major components: a 360-degree feedback tool, coaching sessions, and a professional growth roadmap that has your professional growth goals. So it's a year-long process, going to take us until the end of June. And next year, we will see obviously a lot more people participate who are specialists and above, our district administrators. So here's the agenda, and really just some kind of overview items to start. Couple of key things we want to share with you, and then we want to get a little more specific at the end as far as next steps for what you need to do. The mindset here is this is a year-long process. We're all very busy. We have a lot of things to do. Growth is very important. We don't want to overwhelm anybody, so we want to give you the pieces to complete that are immediate, say in the next 30 days, and then offer you another session to come to say, hey, okay, now learn about the next step, say for the next 30 days. If you want to just run forward and just start doing all the steps on your own, by all means, but we would rather the kind of pace it, which is we'll go with you, give you a little bit, go out and do it, come back, give you a little bit more. So with that in mind, let's just go ahead here, a quick overview, just to kind of reorient everybody. We are not talking about our performance evaluations. We're keeping that totally separate. The evaluation measures what you produce and should be metric and data-based to be as objective as possible, as much as possible. It's not always purely objective. On the other side, when we talk about talent development and professional growth, we want to look at how we do our work. And that's why we're using competencies. And we have to understand there's going to be some subjectivity. We're going to ask people for feedback that are our colleagues, our supervisor, others, and there's going to be some subjectivity. And we know that. It's just like in the Olympics, when somebody does a triple toe loop, you would think everybody would have the same score on the judges, right? But they don't. And that's a defined textbook, move, but yet there's different scores, right? 8.5, 9, 10, whatever. So we have to understand that and be okay with that. So there's going to be some subjectivity, but that's why we get more people involved. So with the talent assessment, understand it's on the model of a 360, which is something that's been used in the business space for decades. So we're not doing anything new as far as what humans are doing, but it is, newer, absolutely new for our school district as far as district-wide taking on something like this. So we are going to get that feedback from people all around you. So here's the roles and responsibilities, just a refresher on this. If you're participating, you're the mentee. You're someone who's interested in growth, and there's some of the things you'll be doing, rating yourself, nominating colleagues, and getting involved with a mentor. Supervisor, that would be, you may or may not be participating, but they're going to be involved because the mentee, the person who reports to them at work, is involved. And so that supervisor is going to have to provide a rating on the mentee and nominate some colleagues, hopefully. Your colleagues can be anybody. It doesn't necessarily even have to be a specialist and above or district administrator. It could be, another position like a teacher that works in your department, could be a confidential administrative assistant. So really anybody could be a colleague that you want to provide some ratings. One thing I want to mention about that, we've been talking about this as a team. You really want to think of those people that really know your work as much as possible. A longer list is not necessarily better, because when you send out an invite for somebody to complete this talent assessment. We want them to be able to give you as much feedback on as many competencies. So if you have somebody that only knows you in like one small capacity, they may not be the best person to use, but you'll have to make that decision. So down to the mentor role, and this is something our team has absolutely debated back and forth, and we're right now calling this person a mentor. But just think of them as a mentor / coach. They're going to be doing kind of both. So there's different definitions for what a mentor does, what a coach does. But in this case, this rollout year, this is the first time we've done this. Not the first time, but outside of our small pilot. So we have to learn a little more, and we are going to better define that role at the end of this year. So just know this person, we're calling them a mentor. They're going to be doing some coaching. They're going to be doing a little bit of both. Okay. So again, the competencies. This is a list of 30 competencies that come from research that have shown through decades of work and research that these are high growth areas that improve, work production, and doesn't matter what sector of the economy you work in, right? But across the top in the gray boxes, there are the district essentials. That's what we as a district came up with and said, hey, these are the 6 areas that we want our people to grow in. These are the areas that we want to focus on, for our organization. We took competencies in the white boxes there with the numbers and aligned those to the district essentials. So there they are. All right. Last part of the overview here, just high level. Again, to refresh for you. This is the year-long process. We're only going to be talking with you right now about this first phase, and really we're kind of doing the pre-work around the first phase, which is getting this talent assessment, this 360 completed. The rest of the phases, we will get to those, but again, it's the type of thing where I think it's better if we just share a little bit. Let's go through it and then move on to the next, chunk after that. So we really want to focus on this part, getting that step 1, that phase 1 completed. Okay, so I'm gonna move to the second chunk right now. And actually, before I do that, any questions on the overall overview there that I provided? Something that I didn't provide that was clear? DLA team members, please, somebody correct me. This is really a discussion we're having. This is not a presentation. Let's make it a discussion. So anybody on the team wants to share anything from DLA, or a question from anyone else? Okay. It's kind of like one of those churches where if you want to, yell amen or interrupt and yell out, you can do that too. So that's fine.
Hey, amen, Kevin.
I like to know the congregation's awake. You know what I mean? So thank you. All right. This is what you really want to know about, right? Mentor, mentee matchmaking, right? This is the cool part. So let me just share with you on this. We as an organization aren't in the position right now to say, hey, we have vetted coaches, we have vetted mentors. We just haven't gotten there yet. So this first couple years, we're going to have to get there, right? Is to get people more training. Some people are experienced coaches and mentors, some are not, right? But as an organization, we're going to overall grow in that. So understand this first year, we can't come out and say, hey, this is a certified mentor, right? So don't hold us to that standard. Know that this is an opportunity everybody's allowed to have to grow. We're going to match you up with someone that's going to help you in areas that are important to you. So how are we going to match make? Well, look in the middle there. In the middle, again, are the district essentials. These are the high level focus areas that our district leaders went up to the superintendent and exec cab, said, these are the areas that we need to grow in, right? We're going to use those to align the mentor and the mentee together. And here's kind of the simple matching there. If you're a mentee, there's one of these areas here that is probably important to you for you to focus on and grow in. And then as a mentor, there's a mentor that has that area as a strength. And we want to align those two along that, district essential. So we are going to send out a survey. You're going to have access to a survey. We have a survey ready to go out to prospective mentors. Here's what I want you to know as the mentee. And this is, I think very important. I would recommend, do not look at this as you want to identify your weakness. You certainly can. I don't want to even say weakness because you want to look at it this way. We cannot all be experts in all areas, right? If I go back to that list of 30 competencies, it's humanly impossible to be proficient and or have a strength in all 30 of these competencies. And I'm a A-type personality person, and I'm a, go-getter and all this, but, I had to come to grips with it too, to say, you know what, there's no way. You cannot be proficient. You can't be an expert or master in all these, right? This is not the way we're wired. And I don't even want to say it's weaknesses. We just have, obviously areas that we're stronger in than others, right? So research has shown that for people to progress professionally, they usually progress professionally because their talent areas become strengths, right? Not necessarily that they focus on all their weaknesses. And I'm just telling you this through like research. So I say that because when you want to look at where is the area you want to focus on, it's a personal decision. But one of the pieces of advice is look at an area that you can see is a natural talent area for you, because you can help someone can help you, develop that into a strength. But by all means, you can also look at this and say, you know what, hey, if I want to become a higher level leader, I need to be an effective communicator. And that's a gap I have to close, by all means, so make that decision for yourself. We're going to ask you in the survey, which 2 areas, which your first and second choice on these district essentials that you want to focus on for your growth. And then for the mentors, we're going to do the same thing, which is we're going to have them identify where they have a strength, top 1 or 2, and that's how we're going to align you. So when it comes down to it and you set a professional growth goal, it'll likely be right aligned with one of those district essentials. And this mentor is going to have some background, some expertise, some experience. It's going to be a strength for them, and they'll be able to grow you, through that. So questions on the matchmaking process or anything around district essentials? Yeah, Janine.
It's not really a question, just to piggyback off of what you're saying. I would definitely absolutely 100% choose your strengths, to develop your strengths, because a really great practice for building teams in successful departments, you're going to find that people are different, have different strengths in different areas. So building a successful team is leveraging strengths of people, trying to make people better in areas that are not necessarily something that they're effective at is not going to be a good investment of time for you or for them, because it'll be frustrating. It'll be a very frustrating experience for that person, when more than likely you have somebody else on your team that is strong in that area. And by raising everybody in the areas that they're strong in, you'll have a stronger team and department overall. So just keep that in mind.
Absolutely. Thank you, Janine. All right. Anybody else? Questions, please. Even if it's an obvious question, you're like, I don't know if I should, please ask it, because if you have it, it means we didn't communicate it right. You got to understand, us on the DLA team, we've been swimming around with this. We've been debating this, like hotly debating this for months, if not over a year. So we're deep in this. We may be making assumptions. Please ask the most basic question, because we could be missing something. Okay, and last part to mention about the mentor. Most departments at this point are choosing to have mentors outside of their department. And that's the way, we're structuring it. If there's going to be a different scenario, please, reach out to one of our DLA team members. Reach out to, myself, Karen, or Anthony, and we will absolutely, talk to you about that, which is, another scenario that we can have happen. I've just gotten the feedback, with the departments that are working, they want to use mentors outside, and that's the approach that we're going to take going forward. So you may not know this person, but if you have somebody that you do know, and you're possibly, thinking of them as a mentor, let us know. Okay, let's go on to the next chunk of information here. Pacing guide. All right, so let me orient you, and if you want to do this, because we want you to save this as a portal tile, if you go to your district portal, and if you haven't done so already, because you're not tuned in, I think everybody on here on the DLA team absolutely would want you to be tuned in, but if you search for
leadership,
district leadership, brings up the DLA tile, which is not only going to help you here, but help you for all the events that come from DLA. So please, by all means, add that to your favorites. So where's the pacing guide? Where are all the resources? There's a lot here on the DLA site. Please, by all means, check it out. Quick plug. We just had an event last Friday. That'll be posted up soon, but you can catch the recordings from our 2 events already this year. Check it out. But if you go up to the top here, look at Talent Optimized and just click on Talent Optimized. That's going to take you to what we want to give you is a one-stop shop resource page for you to go to. So here on this page, we will be posting the latest information that you need. We're going to try and keep it as simple as possible for you so you're not overwhelmed. There's the video from the first orientation session, if you'd like to go back and watch that. So here's the resources that we have been providing to you already. Preparation guide, the competencies that are a part of the talent assessment. Here's the pacing guide. So at this time, you could open up the pacing guide. And you got to click the little pop-out window here. So I just want to hit on with you some of the upcoming, dates and markers. Again, like I said, this is a year-long process. Growth takes time. I don't want you to be overwhelmed. That's why we're not going to go into detail to all the steps, months ahead. Let's just stick to this, near scope of time. So we're really looking at this September, October time period. We're going to work on matching up and pairing up mentors and mentees. We want you attending our orientation sessions. And these are really the 2 steps that, and I'll probably just highlight these right now. I think it'll help us all. And looking at the entire list, these are the next 2 steps that we want you to engage in before we come back and do another session with you. So I'm going to talk about these, so you can go through and look at the rest. So let's go to the dates. So we have it as a little bit of a visual there, but then we also have the list of dates here. So I could go over here and actually let me cross these off because we're moving on down the calendar here. So here we are. Tomorrow is the official launch. So you can go into Peoplesoft. Side note, if you're attending, you can actually go in there right now. But tomorrow for sure, if you'd like to, everything's open in Peoplesoft. We are going to come back and do another support session on October 7th. That is the next step that we want you to engage in. So we're going to give you another session like this. But I put in green here the deadlines. And these are the 2 parts that we're going to speak to you next about. What are your next steps? One is you want to go into Peoplesoft and select the competencies that you want as part of your talent assessment. And then the second thing you'll want to do is nominate your colleagues. These are the people that are going to get invites to complete the talent assessment. And we're going to talk a little more in depth. I'm going to turn it over to Karen, see if she wants to share anything on that. But what I want to just tell you is the reason we're kind of chunking this out is because, those are 2 actions in there. After that, you can start to complete the talent assessment. That actual talent assessment is not due until November 4th. So that's why we're going to offer you a session on October 7th to show you a little more in depth how to go in there and do that. And we can actually, do it together and walk you through it. Any thoughts or questions just looking here at the pacing guide? DLA team members?
Kevin, I have a question.
Yep.
What do we look for inside of Peoplesoft?
Absolutely. Yep. As far as how to navigate and get there?
Well, it says the program is live in Peoplesoft.
Yep.
And if I open up Peoplesoft, I need to know what am I searching for?
Absolutely.
I can help with that. I can help
Okay.
with that once Kevin turns it over.
Absolutely. Yep. Any other questions before we turn it on over? Okay. All right. Karen, you tell me and I can stop sharing. Unless you want me to click and you want to direct me to do it, whatever is easier.
Hey, what's your next slide? Let me see what your next slide is, and then I'll see where I can go from there.
My next slide, where to go, is right here.
Number 14. Yeah. All right. So that's what it looks like. But Cynthia wants to know, how do we get here? So
Yep.
let's let me share now.
All right.
And I love that enthusiasm. Like, you want to get on it today before it launches. That's so great. Let's go find it. Okay. So everybody's familiar with their homepage in the portal. And you're going to become very familiar with the compass up here, the navigator bar, and go ahead and go to the navigator so you can find your way there. So at this point, you've got choices and you're going to go to self-service. And we've got all these steps outlined for you. So you don't have to take notes right now. But when you go to self-service, you go to performance management. That's where both your evaluation lives and where this development document lives. So we're going to go to the development document. We're going to go to our current document, and we get this page, which looks very much just like your evaluation, but you'll notice it says development document. On this page, it's going to if you're the employee, it'll have your name up here on top, and then it'll tell you what step you're in, the very first step, which is what we're focusing on today, and the second step, and it will tell you when it's due, although this date is wrong. Don't pay attention to that. So we're going to head click on that, and look, it looks just like our evaluation again, with your left side being your steps and tasks, and then your main page here. So our very first step, you'll notice, is orange. That means it's in progress. So we can't go on to the next step until that turns green. So we're going to click on that to open up the when you click on that, you'll see the update. We click there, and you'll see our 6 essentials, but you're going to want to expand them to see them all. And there you go. So at this point, the employee can go in and look at all the competencies and make maybe preliminary decisions about which ones they want to be rated on, have that discussion with the supervisor and say, which are applicable and which aren't. And if they're not applicable, use your handy dandy trash can to trash it, delete it. You also have an opportunity to add behaviors. Michael, go ahead.
When I go there, it says add district essential instead of competency, and then that where yours says add behavior, mine says add competencies.
Mike,
Yours,
Karen's showing PQA. So
Got it.
the testing environment hasn't been corrected, but you're looking at the right thing. So ignore that word behavior, but hey, good observation there. So to add essentials, you would add them at the top. To add competencies, you'd add them here, so that we did make that verb, those word changes. And by the way, as you are going through this and you see things that are confusing or not clear, we want that feedback. And so this is a pilot. We're all doing this together and learning, and every single comment and feedback is really important to us. So thank you for that, Michael. So in a nutshell, that's what you're doing. You're going to add, you're going to delete. Once you've deleted something, it'll say, are you sure you want to delete? Kevin?
Karen, are more competencies better or less competencies? I don't know.
It all depends. My classic reply. I think whatever is applicable to you. I mean, you want an overall picture. So you don't want to make this list just 3 or 5. You want a few competencies in each essential. Okay. Do you have other thoughts about that?
Yeah, because I agree. As you said, we want a complete picture, right? A big picture, but sometimes there's too much of a picture, right? So I like what you said. So I think I'm going to talk it over with my supervisor a little bit. I'll make my decisions and talk with them. And then I think we're going to whittle some down because 30 may be a little too much for the first year. So thanks for the advice.
All right. So you're going to go through all of them. And if you need more information about what each one means, we will be adding a link up here in the directions that will open up to the competencies. And so you'll have more definitions and examples of what those are there, but we haven't added that yet, right, Kevin? That's coming. It's coming by tomorrow when we launch. So
yes,
hopefully that'll be up there. All right, we've got another question. Michael.
So, the obvious competencies are the ones that are relevant to my job today. But as I think of my employees and their career growth and where they want to go, they say, hey, I want to look at my competencies around, negotiating or project management, whatever it is, that is not relevant to what they're doing today, but that's where they want to go. So when we have this conversation with our employees, do we focus on what they're doing today and what we need them to do, or can they add whatever they want?
Yeah, and to me, I think that's like the critical question. It's kind of difficult, I think, to figure it out right now. So it's going to be a little bit of guesswork. But my take is this is mainly led by the individual and then guided by, the supervisor in this case. So absolutely the core competencies for their position need to be in there. But then I think, as you said, the aspirational ones of where they want to be in 5 years, to me, those got to be in there, because otherwise, what are we growing in? I mean, we can grow horizontally, absolutely, but we also want to grow, vertically. So I do know, Michael, as we go throughout this first year, it'll be a lot clearer. So when people come around the next year, it'll be that much easier to answer that question.
Yeah, and I think part of the vision is that, we will have job profiles, and the profiles as directors will define the competencies for that job, and people can search career paths and figure out where their gaps are.
Absolutely.
But at some point, do you envision each of us, when we launch this document, it'll automatically bring in the competencies for my job, and then, the individual could add other ones to it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. In the years ahead, and I know we've talked about this, Michael, for sure. I think that would really help us as an organization to really understand, our positions, because that's one of the questions people ask, right, all the time is, hey, I want to become this next level position, but I don't know, right, what's really required, or how can I get prepared? So absolutely, as Michael's saying, these kind of position profiles with competencies are something we absolutely are going to be developing for sure. Amen.
All right, so really important tip here for everyone when they're finished is to hit this save button up here in the corner. Otherwise, you're going to be doing it all again. So once you've selected the competencies, we're going to hit the save button, and you will get a message here in the middle that says you've successfully saved your criteria. The employee is finished at this point, but the supervisor will need to come back in and acknowledge and confirm these steps, and then this will turn to green. So this does not turn to green until the employee's done their part and the supervisor has done their part. All right, any questions about identifying competencies? All right, I'm not able to show the second step. I have to log out, Kevin. So give me a few minutes, and
Sure.
why don't you do something in between?
I'll tell jokes. Yeah, absolutely. So, well, no, in talking about these competencies, one of the things we had recommended was to, familiarize yourself as much with these competencies as you can. We know there's a lot there, and we did debate that. That was one of the things we debated about a year ago, how many competencies. So we erred on the side of saying, provide you, the whole picture, 30, but please feel free to say, hey, you know what? I only want to focus on maybe, 2 out of each district essential. Keep it manageable for yourself. This is the first year. We need time to, understand these competencies. We're going to be training on them. As you see our DLA events, you're starting to hear the talk around competencies. So we're starting to become more familiar with them. Don't feel at all, if you shorten the list down, make it manageable for you, especially this first year. So the other part I will recommend with the competencies, and I'll show the book here real quick again, if you want to jot it down and talk to your director about it, because we'll send this out to the directors as well. The best resource guide that you can use for these competencies, we have a full rubric on each of the competencies, but this book is the resource that we've used as kind of our guide as to which competencies, are we want to use. This is a whole coaching and development guide. It has so let me give you an example. If you choose, negotiating, that's a competency you want to grow in. This book has in there suggested readings, activities, tons of resources for you that you can just individually say, I can grow in negotiating by just, tapping into these resources here. So absolutely great resource. It is an expensive book. I think it comes out usually about $150 for a copy. So, and that's maybe used. So we can maybe talk about, I don't know, we'll look at contacting somebody possibly to see if we can get these in mass, but we have had departments already purchase them, at least, 2 or 3 copies. So let me know, Karen, if you're ready.
I am not. I need another
Okay.
minute.
All right. So here's one of the things I do want to show you. We want to make everything a one-stop shop for you. So here is, let me just go back to the DLA page. So when you go to our DLA page and you click on Talent Optimized, this is just for our program. We have the resources here, as I pointed out before. We have here the survey. Make sure when we leave today, you answer the mentee survey if you're a mentee, or the mentor, survey if you're going to act as a mentor, not a supervisor. But so if you're like a director or above on the call here, you may want to be a mentor for people outside your department, then you would fill out the mentor survey. But if you're on here and you're just a supervisor, you don't need to fill it out. But definitely mentees, fill out that survey. It's there.
So mentors are only for directors and above?
That's where we're going to start at first. Yep. We're going to see how many we have at that point in the matches. And then if we need to go further, we will gather more people at the manager level. So I do want to share with you at the bottom of this resource page, there's a button there, step-by-step guides and videos. And so everything that Karen is showing you is going to be captured here. We already have the guides that are up there. The videos are coming very soon. So everything Karen's showing you, how to navigate, all that is already here. And so, that'll walk you through everything that you need to do, again, how to navigate. And we'll keep updating this page. What I will tell you is we're not going to post all the steps. We just don't want to overwhelm people. We want to kind of chunk it out. So we're really only at this point putting up the first 2 steps there as Karen's going over them with you. While we're doing that, let me actually go to the survey. I think that'll be helpful, so we can just look at that together here. So if you're a mentee, you're participating in the program, you click on the link, and this survey, really pretty simple. It's directed to you as the mentee who's going to be doing the individual development and growth. There's a link here that you can click on to look at the district essentials and the competencies. So if you click there, it opens it up. This is giving you an overview of those district essentials here. So you'll see the descriptions and you'll actually see the competencies that are aligned to them. So you can use that to help you make your decisions. And very simply, this is all we're asking for you, from you, is which of these is your first choice to focus on this year out of those 6 6 essentials, and then what is your second choice? And again, when we say focus, we mean this may be something you want to take from a talent to a strength, or maybe it is something you want to use to close a gap. Totally up to you. And then below that, we just want to know what type of resources might you need, this year to help you. What would be most helpful to you? Okay, I know. Let me see something in the chat box there.
I'm ready.
Right. Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. Turn it back over. So we're going to show the second step, Karen. Is that right? Nominating colleagues.
That is correct. Right. Let's see. I'm sorry. Got to find it now that I found it. All right. Is it showing?
Nope. We don't see it yet.
All right. We're here. So I was having some glitches, and I was trying to get this to turn green so I could demonstrate that you need to have it green before going on. But we're going to go ahead and just nominate colleagues.
So Karen, I have a question. Why do you have to complete the first step, identify competencies? Why does that have to be green and completed before you go on?
I don't, because here, it's coming to me now. Sorry. Those colleagues will nominate you only on the areas that you've identified. So we don't want them to go ahead and nominate on all of the areas if you haven't selected them. So it's really, the first step is to identify which ones you want included. Then you're going to go ahead and nominate your colleagues. So then once they receive that invite to accept, they're going to go ahead and rate you. It's a very quick step that can be done, in the same day, same clicks. So when you open up the nominate colleagues step and task, you'll see two choices here: add nominees, and you can hardly see the second one, which says track nominations. It gives you the opportunity to track to see if people have accepted them or declined. I mean, just because you've nominated a colleague that you've worked with on a project doesn't necessarily mean they'll accept it. So you're going to add the nominee, and you'll see this screen in the middle that gives you the opportunity to add a colleague right here. And here is a person search screen that is displayed. And this is where you'll put your colleagues' names here. Now, the most important thing that you're going to have to remember from today, I think, besides the save button, right, is the %sign. That is the command to have this search begin. So you're going to put in a name. We're going to put in Tom Branson, just so you can see what it looks like. And hit the search button. It shows up, worked. We're going to click it. Good to go. We've selected it, and OK. And we can add up to, what is it, Kevin?
The limit is 12.
12.
I would recommend maybe you and your supervisor maybe do 6 and 6, or maybe you want to do, 8 and 4, whatever. But if you nominate 10 and then your supervisor goes to, and they have 5 people they want to nominate, they're only going to be able to max do 12 between you and your supervisor together. So.
All right, we're going to add John Bates here a second, see if he shows up. Select him. OK. So we repeat that. And then once we're finished, we hit that all important save button. So as an employee, I can do this. And then my supervisor might think of some other people that should give some input on this 360 evaluation. They will go through this same process, add colleagues up to 12, and then they'll hit save, acknowledge, and also confirm. So then that dot there will turn from orange to green, and then those first 2 steps are finished. So you're identifying the competencies using your handy dandy trash can or add signs. You're nominating, doing the same commands with deleting or adding. And also, just to let you know that once the employee has done any action, whether it's identifying competencies and they've added them or they've kept them all, whatever action the employee does, an email is generated automatically and sent to the supervisor. So sometimes you'll get an option up here to notify to notify your supervisor that you've done this. That's an unnecessary step. I mean, you can do that, but we've already set it up so it automatically sends an email to let the supervisor know. And they can also see exactly which competencies have been added or deleted, who's been nominated. That will all appear in that email. And so the supervisor is always informed, and then always is the final one who puts on the confirm or acknowledge that step so that it's completed. Janine, I think you had a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to know whether or not the mentees would know who their supervisor selects to participate. They'll know who they selected. The mentee will choose their people, but will they know who the supervisor chooses?
I don't know. Kevin, do you know?
That's a good question. We will have to get back to you on that. So essentially, like in this case, Karen nominates some people. Her supervisor nominates some people. Will Karen be able to see who her supervisor nominated? Right. That's what we want to know. Yeah. Let me find out. Because we went through, we've tested everything. We've gone through it, but we got to refresh our brains. We've been through a lot over the last 45 days. Great question, though. Karen, I have a question. Actually, I don't want to just put you on the spot with this question, but I'm just talking through something. So I'm going to engage in this as a mentee. I have, let's say, 8 people I want to nominate. because they're going to get a automated email, right, from Peoplesoft, they may be a little bit off guard or disregard it, right? I'm thinking, this is just my choice, I might send an email to these people, you know, blind copy them or whatever, and just say, hey, so-and-so, you know, you're going to get an invite. I'm participating in a talent assessment. I would love if you were able to provide me some feedback, you know, totally up to you, right? That may be helpful, up to you guys, but I think so people aren't caught off guard. And number two, again, the automated emails from Peoplesoft, that may not be something that they're going to, you know, identify as important for them to, you know, go in and do. So, and you could stick in the deadline in there, which the deadline is from the pacing guide.
I
And
think it's the 14th.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember when I went through the pilot myself, I did let my colleagues know. I gave them a heads up. Hey, you're going to get an invite. I'd really, you know, appreciate your perspective on this.
and let them know it's anonymous as well,
Right.
because
Right.
you, the mentee, will not know what the scores are. Your supervisor will not know who scored what. So when those come back in, you won't be able to see who scored what.
Very important point.
Okay. Any other thoughts or questions there, at least on those two parts there that Karen shared with you? Just to kind of, you know, summarize again, because I'll wrap this up here with next steps.
I have a question.
Yes.
The email, because I definitely would want to send an email to someone, not just, hey, they get it, and then they're like, what? So the language in the email is going to include something like, hey, I'm submitting your name to anonymously rate me. What language would be appropriate? You rate me in my skill set? What would be a good language on that?
How about this? What if we draft some language and send it out to you? Would that be helpful? And then you guys could fix it up however you want, but at least you would have something.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's totally fine.
Yeah. You know, really, I would just use, you know, again, the language that, you know, we've kind of been using. I'm involved in a new rollout of a, you know, talent assessment. I'm going to be getting a, you know, you could say 360-degree feedback report, and I'm nominating you to, you know, provide some of that feedback. It's anonymous, you know.
And I've worked with you in the past. We worked on such and such a committee. I value your opinion. Please share your feedback. Something
Perfect.
like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, but we'll generate something, send it out to everybody on this meeting invite, so you have something you can copy and paste in there. Great question. Thank you, Cynthia.
Wait, I have so that's something that the individual will have to send. This is not automatically generated when I choose somebody. They don't automatically get an email saying, Lee has selected you to do such and such because such and such.
They will. My only thing is that it's going to come from the Peoplesoft system. So
Yeah.
it may be something they ignore or, you know, not sure about. That's why I'm just recommending send the personal email from your work, just to preface
But
it.
has that language been drafted already for the Peoplesoft email?
Yeah. There's already language in there. So, I mean, if you want, what we can do is we can send that to you guys as well, so you could see what that'll look like. But so we'll give you two things. We'll give you one if you want to send your own personal email out, and then what the language in the automated email looks like.
When I participated in the pilot, and this was done a little bit differently, but I did send out an email to the people that I asked to evaluate me as a personal note to say, hey, you matter. We've worked together. I respect your opinion. Please be honest, you know, and let them know from me that it was something that was important to me. So then they could decide once they got notified whether or not they were going to participate. But I felt it was important to come from me.
Hey, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
Should we give the nominated folks an idea of how much time they need to set aside to do this?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that's something we should add to the automated email for sure. Great. I'm going to write that down. Yep. And I'm glad you brought that up, Karen. Obviously, this is the first year. Most people are not familiar with these competencies. It's, the time's going to be around looking in the rubric at these competencies, kind of understanding them before, somebody rates them. So again, that's another reason why to say, if you want to shorten your list of competencies, that probably makes it easier on everybody this year. Because obviously colleagues are going to have the least experience. Some of them may not have seen these competencies at all, right? So, because maybe they've not been to a DLA event or, whatever the case is. Great point.
I think Shannon had a question or had her hand raised.
Yeah, actually, well, it was more just a comment. I felt like we had pre-worded emails that we sent out uniformly when we did the pilot. I was just looking back in my emails and I can't find it, but I feel like we did.
Yep.
So if we can just find that and just do that format, I think that'd be helpful. And then you can always add a personal note. I've done 360s for a number of people, and usually there's some uniform language, and then they just add like something like you guys were just mentioning, is that you just add that, can you take the time to do this? It means a lot to me. I appreciate your feedback. Just some one sentence, but the rest of the language we give them.
Great. Yep. Okay, I know we're getting close to the end here, so I want to let me just make sure there's any other questions in the box. I only have one more slide. This really just wraps things up. So let me do that, and then let's field any other questions. So just to summarize here, what are the next steps? As we've already shared with you, we want you to definitely complete the matching survey. So we will follow up this event. We will send you an email, one email. It'll have the matching survey. It'll have the email language in there. We'll actually give you the link to, if you need it, to our DLA resource site here. But so number one, do the matching survey. Number two, there's 2 actions there in Peoplesoft that you want to start looking at doing over the next, 2 weeks. Absolutely, take your time, but definitely by October 14th and 15th, you want to have that completed. And then we are coming back together on October 7th. We're going to show you how to actually complete that talent assessment. So again, we didn't want to throw that extra step at you. We just want to kind of chunk this out, but that's what the next session will be focused on. And we'll have video guides and step-by-steps for that as well. Thoughts from the DLA team? Questions from anybody?
I have another question.
Yes.
Do we have a list of calendar dates for meetings, like other meetings like this? Like I see October 7th, that we could add to our calendars right now?
So we don't have a calendar feature. We have the list, right, in the pacing guide, but no, we haven't.
Thank you. I forgot about that. Thank you. That's what I needed.
Yeah. We have in the past created a Google Calendar, right? So somebody correct me on that. If we created a Google Calendar, put the dates in there and shared that with people, right? Those events would then, as long as they're clicking to view the, say, talent assessment, T.Op calendar, those deadlines should appear, right? Lee's shaking her head, yeah?
Yes, you
Okay.
just have to make it, you have to go to, once you create the calendar, you need to go to settings and click publish.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's going to be your link. I'm happy to help you with that.
Okay. Oh, awesome. Well, because that would be my next biggest question was, how are we going to get this accomplished? So awesome. Thank you so much, Lee. So look for that. Yes, we will share out. Thanks for that question, Cynthia. A calendar, a Google Calendar. Great. All right. What did we miss? Any thoughts? Anybody want to share their excitement or their maybe a little bit of anxiety, right? Totally fine to have a little anxiety around this. This is not done this before. Maybe you haven't done it personally. It's new for our district, so I think we all feel that a little bit, but it's going to be a great, process by the end. Okay. All right. So our next session is October 7th. I'll send the invite for that, so you'll just see right after this. We're going to send a follow-up email to you. Please go onto the DLA site, become familiar there with all the resources that are up there, and then everyone in here is going to get a point of contact person from the DLA team for your department. That'll be there to assist you. So we'll send that out very soon as well. So we're going to send that, likely through the director, so they're aware first, right? But it's for this DLA team member, will be for anybody in your department, whoever has questions. So, all right, y'all.
Kevin, can you stay on for a moment?
Yeah, I don't hear the blender bike going on over there, so I guess I can't go over and get my smoothie. So I'll have to find out who's the next department who has it.
There might be some ingredients left if somebody has a smooth blender in their office.
Nice. All right. Thanks everybody for attending. Anybody on DLA who wants to stick around, by all means, feel free. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to stop the recording.